All right. Lay down. Up here.
Echo,
Story time.
what is Jameson in Spanish?
Jameson in Spanish is Jameson.
Oh, there you go.
Jameson?
That's crystal clear, isn't it?
Jameson in Spanish is Jameson.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Once upon a time, not long ago, there lived a little tiny squirmy snake. And his name was Fred.
No, his name was Sapphire.
Oh, her name was Sapphire. Who's telling this story?
You?
That's right, pal. So, Sapphire was just a slithering along, minding her own business, until along comes a gigantic looking thing she had never seen before. It was kind of an off-white shade, but a little black marks on it, and had these squiggly lines. And Sapphire thought, maybe it's another snake, but then it lifted in the air, and it almost came down and squashed her. And she ran and got so terrified.
It's a human, right?
It's close, yes.
Tiger.
She was so scared. She ran into the bushes and
She
started
can't run!
shivering. Well, she slithered as fast as she could and started shivering. And she was so scared. Shaking, shaking, shaking.
Help!
And then all of a sudden, right next to her, a little worm appeared and said, "Hey, what's the matter?" And she went, "Ah, a talking worm!" And then her and the worm became friends. And she said, "What's your name?" And he said, "My name is Jim. And I'm an earthworm. And it's my job to go around and hop on things." And she said, "You're a hopping worm. That seems quite odd. If you're an earthworm, why don't you crawl under the earth?" And he said, I got bored with it, so I started hopping. I learned that from my friend Joe, who was a bullfrog. And he was a fantastic bullfrog. He liked to hop around. So I taught him how to dig under the earth, and he taught me how to hop around. So that's what we did. And she said, "Ooh, can you teach me how to hop around?" He said, "You bet I can. All you got to do is twist your tail in this little shape and make yourself look like a spring." And she said, "How do I make myself look like a spring? And it's not even springtime right now. It's summer." And he said, No, silly, a spring. Do you know what a spring is?" She said, "I don't think so." Well, a spring is something that's coiled up really tight, and when you let it go, it's aptly named springs. It springs.
Boing.
So he showed her how to coil up like a spring, and lo and behold, not only did she jump, but she far out jumped Mr. Jim, because she was much bigger, right? She could see over the roofs, and she thought, "Whoa, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life." But now she was not as scared as she was before, because she felt like she had this new superpower. So she went back to the bush, she thanked Jim, and she said, "I will be on my way, sir. Thank you." She does what?
She does have a superpower.
Oh, she does. Well, in a manner of speaking, I suppose she does have a superpower. So,
But it's flying.
hey, come on back here. So she thanked Jim, and she moved on, and she said, "Thank you. I'm going to go check out what that big white snake thing looking was." And he said, "What big white snake looking thing?" And she said, "The one that almost hurt me. That's why I was in the bush in the first place. I was terrified." And he said, "That thing over there?" And she said, "I guess." But this time the thing was just kind of laying there, and it didn't seem as ominous as it did before. And he said, "That is called a shoe, and it belongs to a person, and that person is over there laying on that blanket." And she said, "A shoe? What is it for?" And he said, "Those humans put them on their feet and they walk around. And it protects them from things like worms and snakes." And she said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa. You're telling me they're scared of us?" And he said, "Yep." And not all of them, but a lot of them. And so she said, well, let's see if we can do something about that. So she coiled herself up as hard as she could, and she aimed as best she could. And she sprung high, high, high in the air, higher than Jim had ever witnessed anything springing. Lo and behold, she fell what seemed to be out of the sky right onto that person's face, who naturally freaked out completely. If it's raining snakes, you can bet people are going to be freaking out. All right, so that person jumps up, starts screaming, and guess what they did? They ran as fast as they could straight to the bushes. Well, this person is shivering, freaking out, scared. Next thing you know, they hear, "What's wrong, pal?" And that person jumped. Looked like they levitated. They jumped so hard. And he said, "What is that? Who said that?" And he said, "It's me, Jim, down here." And the guy looks down and he sees a worm. And the worm says, "Why are you scared?" And the guy says, "A talking worm!" And then realizes, okay, that's pretty neat. So he picks the worm up, he puts him in his hand, and Jim's like, "Whoa, what are you doing to me?" He said, "I'm just picking you up. I wanted to see you." And he goes, "Well, now you see me. Can you put me down?" Okay. So he says, "While I have you here, could you please stop stepping on my people?" And the guy said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "Well, you step on worms all the time." And the guy's like, "I don't. I guess I never noticed." And he said, "Well, just watch where you're walking, pal." And he said, "Well, what fell on my face?" And he said, "That was Sapphire. She's a snake, and she wanted to learn more about humans, and you almost stepped on her earlier." And the guy said, "I did? I didn't mean to." And Jim said, "Well, Sapphire didn't know that, and she also wasn't trying to hurt you. She just wanted to get to know you." And the guy said, "Well, where is she now?" And Jim said, "I guess she's over on your blanket." So the guy ran back to the blanket, sat down next to Sapphire, and said, "Hey, what's up?" And then Sapphire looked up and said, "Ah, a talking human!"
Humans are supposed to talk, so is Sapphire.
Oh, yeah. So from that day on, Sapphire and her buddy, Bob.
No, not Bob.
Oh, what was his name?
JJ.
Oh, okay. Her buddy, Bob, Sapphire and JJ, hung out and met every day at that same park, and he taught her how to play wiffle ball and tennis. Oh, they were now, okay, Bob is now a girl named JJ, okay. She taught her how to play wiffle ball, tennis, volleyball, baseball, and eventually foosball, which was extremely challenging for a snake to learn, but Sapphire did conquer it. Yeah, basketball was easy because she would just spring the ball up into the basket. But they became the best of friends, and JJ, every once in a while, would even scratch her back to help her get her skin off so she could grow. And Sapphire grew into a nice, big, healthy snake that came to learn that eating small animals is not very nice, but she would do it quietly so that nobody noticed. The end.
And
Say goodnight.
wait, let me do some.
Oh.
And she decided that it was time for her to learn how to play catch. She went up to Elephant and Piggy. This is an Elephant and Piggy story. She went up to Gerald and Piggy and asked them, "Can I play too?" And then they jumped and ran away. And then she was like, "Aww." She went up to Harold and Jiggy.
Harold and Jiggy.
And asked them if she could play too. And they said, "Ah!" And ran away to Gerald and Piggy and Harold and Jiggy.
All right. Can you say goodnight to your future self?
Pee poo pee pee toilet.
Uh-huh.
Sink.
Sink.
Bathroom.
Really?
Pear.
Okay.
Strawberry.
When I say a word, you say the first thing that comes to mind. Ready? Coconut. That's not a word. You got to say the first word that comes to mind. Ready? Pencil.
Cat.
Okay, perfect. Sandwich.
Pack.
Pack. Okay. Cloud.
Cat.
Can't say the same thing. Although I guess that is the first thing that came to mind. Okay. Penny.
Dog.
Very good. Light.
Turn on.
Okay. You win. Say goodnight.
Blobbly, poppy, poi, toilet, pear, strawberry, mango, buddy, pa, pado, pa, poo, pa, poo.
Good night.